I have many scars. Some of them I don't remember how I got, but I have one on my forehead that when I was little I got through multiple open wounds on my forehead. One time on a rocking chair leg, one time on the corner of a table when I was crawling underneath it and sat up too quickly, and one on the corner of the wall when I was bowling with my Fisher Price bowling set and I didn't let go of the ball and I tripped and fell forward into the wall. Let go of the ball and tripped and fell into the wall. On the other side of my head, I don't think the scar is still there, but I was doing a butterfly machine back when I was working out, and I was trying too hard to impress someone, and I slipped the elastic resistance band and slammed it into my head and needed a butterfly bandage. I have one on my finger too that was from one Halloween my little sister was playing with a knife and I went to grab it from her and she pulled back and it cut all the way down to the bone in my finger.
Welcome back to day 2, everyone. We're so glad to have you here with us. Once again, let's welcome our mentor, host, and best-selling author and coach, Mandy Morris.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, and good afternoon, and good evening, and good night, in the words of Truman, who've seen that movie. I know everyone's tuning in from all around the world. So hello, and welcome to day 2. I am really, really excited for day 2. Although day 3 is technically my favorite, I do love day 2 as well because we're going over tips, techniques, and just some magical things that are going to immediately provide shifts for y'all. So before I get started, everyone can see me and hear me. I'm coming in loud and clear. If you can, just type in the chat box as well, yes and yes. Wonderful. And a quick just like shout out and kudos to everybody who's waking up at 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. to join us. That is just, I always have to say, like, that's radical. Thank you. I'm honored. I'm glad that you're getting enough out of it that you feel like it's worth it to do that. And it means a lot to me. And it says a lot about y'all too. So I was scouring the group yesterday, seeing your whys. And I just want to say, wow, like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The intention that y'all have and that you share. So many of you have very similar whys, whether it's you've lost someone to suicide or to drugs, and I've walked that walk myself. You have been through the depths of pain. You are really good at helping people, your children. Like there's just these beautiful patterns and synchronicities to it, but there's also just this uniqueness that I saw in each of you. And it was so beautiful. So thank you all for being real and raw with that. I know the team will be posting up our winners if they haven't already in the Facebook group, and they'll tag you so you'll know if you won the Authentic Creation program too. And as a reminder, you guys are really good at this, but it is so important to show up consistently. So for those of you who are on our Zoom, you have the camera ability, turn on those cameras, be seen, and as always, playful out. And I hope you can see that you are showing up for your dreams and your goals. This might seem small, like something like turning on your camera might seem small. It's huge. Sometimes we really forget what it means to do something seemingly tiny, and then we don't celebrate it. But when we celebrate the seemingly tiny things, we build up to even bigger stuff. So I just want to acknowledge and celebrate each of you for being here and showing up. And kind of a fun fact, just so you know, research shows that gratitude and acknowledgement actually boost our dopamine levels. So someone saying like, hey, you did a good job, literally makes us feel better. So I figured I'd throw a little bit of it in there, start the day off right, because we're going to be talking about the mind again. And when we do that, when we boost dopamine, when we give ourselves gratitude, when we celebrate others and we get acknowledged, we're literally opening up our ability to learn more. So our brain's receptivity on learning what we're going to go over today, we're literally making it higher. So today is about deepening your impact. And now I think your brain's just a little bit more primed for success. As a reminder, when you hear something that you like, hashtag breakthrough, hashtag aha. I love seeing them in the chats. My team does too. They always bring me back to, oh, that part really hit, really struck everybody. So I want to make sure that I'm seeing those too. And as a reminder for everybody who hasn't yet, if you want to join the VIP, yesterday was awesome. For my VIPs, feel free to throw it in the chats and comments how great that was. It was a wonderful experience, and we do it every day of the challenge. We change it up just a little bit every time. But if you haven't yet and you want to, you go to mandysvip.com and you can still upgrade and you will get access to the live Q&As. Those are also recorded in case you miss one. They're very powerful. And then you will also have the replays for life instead of just until this Sunday. Okay. Now, we're going to jump in between some mind work, some techniques, but first and foremost, I want y'all to know this. In order for you to have a successful, that's the operative word here, a successful life coaching business, you need life coaching skills and you need business skills. You can have life coaching skills, that's great. But if you don't have the business skills, it's very difficult to monetize that, to turn that into your purpose work every single day, all the time, where it's also serving and fueling you, right? We don't want that. We don't want to experience that. So today we're going to dive deeper into the life coaching skills and then also understanding of my accredited EME life coaching methodology. You're going to learn the tools that generate, just a couple of them, obviously. Again, the original EME is a 4-month program in totality. So we're just plucking some of our favorite ones that get results really fast, but there are, of course, some that take a much deeper dive than what we're going to have an hour and a half-ish or so together today. So we're going to dive into that though, and those are some of the tools that generate lasting but also instant change for you, for your clients. So you'll be able to utilize this technique moving forward for yourself, for your family members. It's so insightful, and I will say, in all the different walks of life and beautiful people that I have served over the past 10 years, these tools today are ones that work for everybody. Doesn't matter how great their life is, how bad their life is, it is still something you can lean on. It's still something that serves you in some way. And then tomorrow, don't forget, we start business skills. So today we're kind of going into life coaching skills. Tomorrow is our business skills. And today, kind of my intention, I would say, is I want to address some of those defeating questions. Who am I to coach someone? Why me over so-and-so? Will I really help people? And I am here to remind you, and I will absolutely keep reminding you. I'll be the broken record for you for the next couple days. It's possible to coach now. Like some of my coaches do. They can borrow my credibility and my curriculum to shorten that time frame. But ultimately, you are born to be a coach. Most of us, as we saw yesterday, you guys are natural coaches, but you do need the skills and the framework so that you can guarantee results. And of course, you feel more confident. So fun fact, studies indicate, that learning new techniques activates the prefrontal cortex. So we're enhancing our decision-making and problem-solving skills when we learn new techniques. Because how many of us probably make decisions from the seemingly wrong place within us? From what we call the reptilian brain, which is why I love tomorrow, because we're going to talk about that tomorrow. I want you to think of this all, though, the things that we're talking about today, think of your coaching as planting seeds in a garden. This garden is a garden of transformation. It could be a beautiful garden. Every tool that you learn today is something that helps water those seeds. So it's making your impact literally grow faster and stronger. Now, this whole embodiment thing that I've been talking about, so important. That's why we're going over what we're going over today. I want you to just feel embodiment for a moment, because it's going to be really funny that in the next week or so, something's going to come up where you're going to be able to give the gift of embodiment through some of the tools and techniques I'm sharing today. And you're going to be like, that's the difference that Mandy's talking about. I get it now. Because it's so important as a coach to have embodiment. And again, what's embodiment and authentic living? What I call it is we are housing the frequency in which our clients seek. We're not just talking the talk, but we walk the walk behind closed doors. We know how difficult it can be in moments, but we have been able to bring forth that energy, that knowingness that someone's going to be okay. I remember when a psychiatric nurse was shadowing me way back in when I was living in Scandinavia, doing all that psychosomatic work. And I remember her saying when she after she shadowed me one session, she's like, Mandy, what is it? What is that? It's like this energy that permeates off of you when you're with these patients. Like what is that? And I was like, I've never been asked that question. And I sat there for a minute and I was like, I think it's love. I think it's this deep, deep love I have for humanity. So each soul in front of me, I'm like, I love you unconditionally, but I also see them as their divine self. Yes, they may be in a difficult place in their life. They may be in pain. They may be so far away from the experiences that they want in life. But I think I've been kind of given that gift of being able to see people in their true potential. Now, we do that in the wrong way sometimes. We end up in relationships we shouldn't, because we think, well, I know they have potential. And no, that's something different. I'm talking about as a coach, as somebody who can bring someone to the greatest version of them, serving them in the highest, is a wonderful gift and a space that we get to hold. And it does amazing things for people. So embodiment is very important with that. So we're going to do that on y'all selves first. So you know the process, you know how it feels, and then you'll have more confidence and a better understanding of it when you try it out on a client. Because it's one thing teaching it. It's another going through it first and then teaching it. So we're committing to going all in here. And to me, I believe tools are only powerful when lived firsthand. We have to experience them on ourselves first, and then we share from authentic knowing. Does that make sense? And the cool thing about this is this really hits on some of our neuroscience. We talked about this in the VIP yesterday, mirror neurons. Our mirror neuron system, and I love neuroscience, and I am no expert by any means. I've taken some neuropsychiatry classes in conjunction with Harvard and stuff, but I still geek out on it. Whenever I hear something that I can apply to what we're talking about, I'm like, yes. And mirror neurons was something that I learned through actually a friend of mine who's a wonderful psychiatrist, but I digress. So mirror neurons are, in essence, I'll just keep it simple. You know that saying, you're most like the 5 people you surround yourself with? Absolutely. Our brains will wire similarly. Same thing with our kids. If we're our kids' main, caretaker and they're younger, their brains are wiring very similarly to ours. Their neurons will mirror our neurons. Like it or not. Not the moment to shame yourselves, parents, if you're like, my kids are crazy. They're still souls on their own journey. But mirror neuron system explains that empathy and understanding deepen when we practice what we preach. So we are literally able to hold from I'm totally going like on Mandy science, which is how I interpret things. So don't judge me here. But the way I see it is if I'm embodying that lesson, if I'm embodying the thing that I'm about to teach, I am strong in my frame because my brain is already wired that way. Therefore, when I am teaching it, when I am utilizing it on someone, I'm that much better at it because I don't just philosophically know it. I'm not just left braining it. I have the full understanding of it. And that makes me way stronger as a coach because I can get them through to it because I'm literally giving them the brain map for it, if you will. Isn't that cool? All right. So I feel this helps build confidence too. As a coach, at the end of the day, building confidence is like learning to swim. We got to feel the water before we help others float, right? So yesterday we focused on the new empowering mindsets. We talked about some breakthroughs. Today, let's get even deeper into the work. Cool? So we have a few different levels of life coaching. This is how I break this down. We have learning. This is always the first step in authentic living. In my methodology, it's self-application. We must apply it to ourselves. If we learn something and we're immediately applying it only to someone else, I think we're robbing ourselves and our future clients of the true experience. It is so much more powerful if we first go, does this work and does it work on me and how does it work on me? Because you might have some nuances as well, right? You're going to learn more this way. This methodology really came through. People always go, Mandy, who'd you learn from? And I'm like, oddly, I'm not saying life didn't teach me things. I'm sure I plucked things, subconsciously from different things I've read over the years or whatever. But I didn't learn from anybody. Instead, because I was such an avid journaler since I was 5 years old, I'm journaling. I used to write little notes to God, and I would be like, hey, say hi to so-and-so who passed away or whatever, and I'd leave it outside crumpled up. My mom actually saved one because I thought that the wind would then carry it away to the heavens and God would read it. So I'd make sure I put my address on there so he knew which Mandy, was talking. I digress. But when we bring forth all of the understanding, we're able to give it to other people, right? And so I made sure that I was journaling throughout my entire life, all my feelings, all of my thoughts. And I realized when things started getting really cool in my life, I was writing down everything that I was going through, just real and raw and honest, all of my emotions, all the feelings that I was having, blah, 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 blah. But then when I came over that hump, I'd go back and I'd read everything. And I'd say, okay, what actually worked? What was I doing at that time when things started to pivot? Also, retrospect, when things started to go to shit, what was I doing? What was I telling myself? And I reverse engineered the whole process and then built programs out of it. So any hoodle doodle, self-application. I self-applied all the time. And of course, I didn't have a technique to self-apply, so I had to figure out the techniques as well. So I'm shortening your learning time frame at least, but we must apply things to ourselves first. So we learn through self-application. That's kind of our step number one. Next is we coach others. We need to apply it to others. We need to figure out how to correctly apply it to others, right? And then our last one is mastery. Mastery, 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 where we are kind of the walking embodiment of this. I always say now when I can tell somebody needs to be coached, even if they're just sitting in my home or whatever, of course, I'm going to ask for permission and I'm going to check in if I feel called to serve in that moment. But 3 seconds and I'm there. Boom, boom, boom. Because I've decided that I can be a walking embodiment of the work. And I invite you all to consider that. Even if that might feel far away right now, it's not. You just master it over time. Triggers, I know I've talked about yesterday. Triggers are like my favorite thing. It's at the body of so much of my work. We're going to talk about triggers today, of course. But triggers are something that I used to let me spiral out for like months at a time. It would just run and flood me with different emotions and negativity and so forth. And now I can work myself out of most triggers within like 3 seconds. It becomes so natural for you to know and address things. So even if today you're like, okay, wait a second, what? And it feels a little robotic and steppy, it's because you just haven't reached that point where it's become a part of who you are. But it can and it will. We just have to practice it. And as a reminder, mastery is not somewhere we like end. Mastery is not about perfection, but it is about consistent practice and embodiment. That is what mastery is. So when someone says they've mastered something, most often I don't think they mean like, I'm done with it, never have to do it again, I've got it perfectly done, because life's still going to throw us really cool curveballs. But we feel equipped. To me, if I feel like I've mastered something, I feel equipped to handle what life is throwing at me. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get triggered sometimes. I get triggered about far less, but that doesn't mean that life still isn't going to throw me a curveball. But because I have the tools inside of myself, I feel capable. Now, as a life coach, you need to have these things. We need the proper mindset. That's why I'm going to talk about mindset every day. Even when we talk about business skills come from mindset. If you have a shitty mindset, those business skills aren't going to take you anywhere, right? Or at least it won't take you as far as you can go. So we must have a strong, proper mindset. And there is a good and a bad way to go about this, right? There's some people who are like, I'm going to grind my way through it. I did the grinding and grunt and grit thing most of my life. It's burnout central. Instead, we want a nurturing mindset, a true growth mindset, which knows there's a push and pull to it. And then we need frameworks. Frameworks are so important here. For those of you who have been coaches before in like your personal life, but maybe you're not certified, that is so awesome. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But if you're like, man, I just can't get, we were talking about this in the VIP yesterday, I just can't get that, that extra shift, or I say everything, I think I'm saying everything right, but why aren't they listening? And I'm like, it's probably a framework issue. We're just missing a couple pieces here. We need to be more predictable with getting results. And that comes from techniques and principles as well. So you need the principles and you need the techniques. The more that you have an understanding of getting to patterns, understanding cycles in people, understanding why people are the way they are, the faster you will get to the root and the sooner you will pull people out of pain. Who doesn't want to do that, right? And this is great from a business model perspective, as I go off on a Mandy tangent. For those of you who are interested in doing one-on-one or more like VIP day type stuff, let me go ahead and pull this off the screen real quick, team. The more that you're considering that stuff, you can go from, instead of doing sorry team, you can pull this off the screen. I feel like I'm like a wizard when I do that. You can go from, I'm doing a 60-minute session with someone, to, hey, fly in, let's do one day, let's knock out 6 months of growth in one day. But that person's also going to pay you for 6 months of growth in one day. You have to have a framework. You have to have principles. You have to have techniques that can ensure that one day is going to work, right? And of course, that's one of our income streams that we offer in EME. I digress. So any hoodle doodle, when you combine all 4 of those, what do you get? One of the most important components in any life coaching business. You get curriculum. Curriculum. And curriculum is the mindset, the frameworks, the principles, and the techniques in which you use to produce results for your clients. Your curriculum is vital, absolutely vital. And I would say curriculum is really what sets programs apart. Some coaches, believe it or not, they'll just wing it. Per coaching session, they wing it. I, however, don't think that's a fantastic idea in the long run, because you are absolutely going to come across people that you're like, I don't understand how they're wired. I don't understand why I'm getting so much resistance. I'm starting to second guess myself. Your imposter syndrome will kick in, and it's not for any other reason than you're missing a technique or a skill or something that you could have known about that personality type That would have just been like, oh, I know what I'm dealing with. Great. And guess what you do when you do that? You're holding your frame. And when you're holding your frame, your mirror neurons are nice and juicy and strong, the way I say it. And then you can give that to your client and you produce a better result. It's just how it works. Now, that's why I have a proven curriculum designed to get to the root and shift whatever needs to be shifted. Now, some of that curriculum is, again, for 4 months. Some of that is 14 months. We have a few different options, but you can coach your clients through all of that different stuff. I actually have 3 programs that I give my coaches when they go all in that they can utilize to continue to, 1, ascend a client, which we'll talk about on day 4. If you're like, what does that even mean? It's okay. I didn't know what that meant. It's a very simple thing, but I didn't know what it meant. So I was very preliminary, but you can coach your clients through that. So you can get them to a place of wholeness, abundance, purpose, and beyond, moving from one program to another that ensures that they're going to live a better and better life because you have a framework, you have a curriculum, you have all the techniques already embedded in there. And of course, today you're going to experience some of that curriculum and throughout the 5-day challenge in general. When you have a proper curriculum, you take the guesswork out of transformation, okay? I want you to remember that. When you have a proper curriculum, you take the guesswork out, which also sucks a lot of the lack of confidence and imposter syndrome right out of the room. You're taking the guesswork out of healing. You take the guesswork out of getting results, and instead, you make transformation more predictable. You make it a consistent process. You make getting results inevitable. That's the power of a good curriculum. That is absolutely vital. So the path to learning, if you will, level 1, you do it yourself. You can do it yourself if you want, right? I spent years and years learning, messing up, figuring it out, building what took me 10 years. In essence, I continue to build my curriculum, my framework, my techniques. I clocked over 20,000 hours now in doing that. Level 2 is you get coached on how to deliver those things, right? Which kind of brings an embodiment. So I think that's a little bit better than doing it yourself. But level 3 is total immersion. You're able to step fully in, fully feeling it, knowing what that looks like for yourself. And that's the beauty of a system of curriculum and guidance, is that you're literally folding time in half. You're bending time. I had to do it myself. That took trial and error. I don't want those moments for you. So getting coached is the next best thing. But total immersion is the fastest way. That's where you're getting coached, you have accountability, you have the environment, so important, events, all the things that speed success up. That's the difference between trying to learn a language, let's say, learning a language in a classroom versus go live in the country for 6 months, right? Totally different learning, totally different experience. All right. So shifting gears, we talked about this briefly yesterday, and I love talking about this, the box. Okay. So we have this thing called the box in authentic living. And our intention in EME specifically is we're always trying to get people out of the box in which they currently live in. First and foremost, I want y'all to know, everybody has a box. I have a box. You have a box. Everybody lives in some form of a box. But is the box serving us or screwing us over in life? Well, that's for us to figure out. So inside of the box is your life right now. Outside of the box is the life that you want, right? Pretty simple here. Now, outside of that box typically lives people's hopes and dreams, their aspirations, their true potential, whether they ever find it in this life or not, and the goals in which they have, whether they're working on it or not, basically. Now, what's in the box? We talked about this yesterday. Mind, emotions, and energy. The current blocks, or just our current framework of who we are and how we live and move in the world in which we call our environment. Doesn't always serve us. Obviously, these blocks can sit in different ways, but that's what sits inside of our proverbial box, if you will. Now, going into the mind, these are the triggers that hold us back that we are unaware of. Maybe we are aware of them, but we don't have the tools and techniques to move through them. So they just keep re-triggering us. So we just keep strengthening the neurological pathways in which they currently exist. Personas, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a term we use very often in EME and in a specific way. It's a conversation for another day, but they're basically unhealed parts of ourselves. Beliefs. We all have beliefs. We all have beliefs and rules. And our rules are there to support our beliefs. Whether they are good or not, we live and die by those rules. And our programming. How are we raised? Societal expectations, maybe religious conflict. Our programming in some way, shape, or form. How we are currently wired neurologically. And our self-talk. We think it's ourself at least, but it's really not, right? And emotions, if we are sitting in a box that we do not want to sit in, it's usually guilt and shame, fear, anxiety, grief, anger, and we just cycle through that day in and day out, and we call that life. And for those of you who know anything about the emotion scale and how we can read each emotion vibrationally that comes off of people, you'll know that a lot of these denser emotions sit really close to death, to the vibration of death. So no wonder if we are consistently sitting in shame that we might have actual health disease. We may feel like absolute shit. We may have inflammation of our body and our thoughts, right? That would make sense to me because that's not a thriving vibration. And then our energy kind of sits all, and I want you to kind of imagine this, right? The mind, the emotions is an outer shell, and the energy is kind of what encapsulates all of that. Our energy, from a manifestation standpoint, or quantum physics, however you want to play with this, is what is sent outwardly into the world, and the world receives us and sends it back to us. There's plenty of science, of course, behind this, but I won't dive into that today. But our energy is a compilation of our emotions and our mind. So if those aren't working very well, if those are rooted in low vibrational things, we're sending out a low vibration in essence. So we're getting back low vibrational experiences. And again, we call that life. Just these cycles. Boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. A clunky wheel, right? We don't want that. Now, what keeps us in our box? Because we unconsciously choose to stay in the box in which we're in. Our beliefs, our emotions, our triggers, our fears, our traumas, basically our environment, and what we have talked about already quite a bit, relationships. Our relationships, who are we going to lose? Who's going to judge us? We have no one supportive in our environment right now. That type of thing. That's going to keep you in your box abso-freaking-lutely, right? Because what is a basic human need? Community and connection. We need to know that what we're going to do isn't from a primal, like reptilian part of us. We need to make sure that we are safe. And years and years and years ago, and still to this day, us being alone meant we weren't going to survive. So can you imagine that if you think, we're so funny, aren't we? Think about this. We think about going and shining our light. And if we somewhere inside of us, even if it's not conscious right now, in our subconscious, we go, but we'll be alone. It's not just that it's lonely at the top. That's saying there's probably a part of you that says, but I could die if I'm alone. So shining my light is a very dangerous thing to do. So your reptilian brain's making that decision. Ugh. Again, I'm going into day 3 already because I love it so much, but we talk about that heavily tomorrow. You guys are going to love it, love it, love it. Okay, any hoodle doodle. How do we get out? How do we escape this box? Intention. That's why I just was hot to trot on y'all's whys yesterday. Your why, if it's strong enough, sometimes you got to stack them, right? But your why needs to be strong enough. Your intention needs to be so strong that it will exceed the fears that will keep you in your box. Then it's not enough to just have a good intention sometimes. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. But if you have a beautiful why and you are still sitting in fear, 1, don't judge yourself. But 2, it's because you haven't made a decision. You've sat and yes, I have a wonderful intention. Yes, I have a great why, but I have not made a decision that moves the needle. I have not made a decision that gets me out of the box. So we have to couple it with action. Decision is action, right? In this human 3D world, we must take action. And the last is we need coaching. It is so awesome for us to attempt to make changes in our lives. But sometimes, and I went through this myself, it's going to take a hell of a lot longer than you need to. Why do that? Find someone who's already walked the walk. Find someone you resonate with, whether that's me or someone else, and learn from their mistakes. They will probably cut off more than you will ever know. They will shave off months, if not years, of pain or unnecessary lessons or trials and tribulations. And instead, you get placed in the spot where you're still going to learn the lessons you need to learn. I think the universe just makes sure that that happens. You have soulful things you got to do. But I think we also have to learn a lot of, or we also choose to learn a lot of things that we don't have to learn. And that lesson came to me when I was like 7 years old. I remember seeing one of my older sisters making some poor choices in her life, to say the least. And for some reason, I remember where I was sitting in the car. I was driving past one of the gas stations in Phoenix. This was such a vivid memory of mine. And I remember thinking, I'm going to make sure I watch older people make mistakes. And then I'm going to have a journal of things not to do so I don't make those mistakes because I'm watching it cause them pain. I was a weird kid, to say the least. But that's a great thing to do. In reality, what a wonderful thing. Hey, let me know your mistakes. I don't want to go through unnecessary amounts of pain just because I'm afraid of being vulnerable or I'm afraid of investing in myself or, whatever. If those are blocks you can overcome. You're going to overcome something regardless. You're going to have to overcome the pain that causes it from not facing it, or you can overcome it with tools. Nah. So escaping the box, let's talk about this from a top to bottom perspective. I want you to think of your mind, your emotions, and your energy as that box, right? We talked about that. The ceiling, the top of that box is your current belief system, okay? It restricts your potential. The ceiling is a restriction on what could come next, what beautiful thing is on the horizon. So to expand past it, you must move past the ceiling, right? Which we accomplish by shifting our mindset, our emotions, and our energy. And again, energy kind of trickles along with it. Now, the basement at the bottom of our box is how bad are you going to let things get before you will make change? It's your rock bottom, basically. Your rock bottom. Quick little image here, just for the sake of my visual learners. Ceiling's at the top, basement's at the bottom. Ceiling, we have to push through. We have to expand that box. There's something stopping us. Basement, rock bottom. All right, finally, I've got so little money. I'm in so much pain. This relationship is so bad. I will do something about it. I will get myself out of this. My old ceiling on money, let's say, going back to my story, when I made that 30,000 really fast, my ceiling was, I don't even know. It was definitely, 30,000 was not the ceiling. It was probably like 5,000 or something, but lucky me, I made more. But if I make X amount, stop making it altogether. Whoa, no. I don't know how to manage it. I don't know what to do with it. I'm not worthy of it. This came too fast, all of that stuff. So that was my ceiling. Now, my dream was to make $200,000 a year. But because I had rules and beliefs that if I'm going to make $200,000 a year, which is so much money to me, and it still is a lot of money, but it's different now, obviously. I thought it would take years to get there. Tons of work. I got to go to tons of school. I need to have tons of little letters after my name. And then there I was making it in what was actually, it wasn't a 30-day. It was, I said 1 month because you calculate business earnings typically in a month. It would happen in 3 days, y'all. So I was like, sabotage that shit. Get it out of here. Go give it to people. Pay things off. Whatever I can do to just, well. But I also probably thought, oh, well, I did it once. I can do it again. No, because I wasn't wired for it. This is kind of the difference I see bringing in billionaires. And I know sometimes talking about billionaires can be triggering, but have you seen people who are really successful and they kind of built their success themselves and they lose it all and then they're back at it again and they sometimes grow their wealth even more? It's because they built a foundation underneath them. It's who they are. They have literally wired themselves to problem solve and they can always get back to it. So I always imagined that with my personal growth, with my finances and so forth. The casino arms, like the ching things, whatever. I imagine it like a Smith machine at the gym, if I'm using these words correctly, that thing that you put the weight you choose and then you shove the pin in so that the weight can't go down. That's what I imagine. Every time I would reach a new level of abundance, I'd be like, I just busted through a ceiling. I'm not going backwards. I would go through a quick visual of, all right, crank that sucker up one more, throw that pin in because we're not going down again, right? We're just going to keep growing. It's going to get better and better because I'm building a foundation underneath myself. And take that same thing, hand $1 billion, hand a lottery ticket to somebody. And they're not, sometimes, as we've seen in so many studies with lottery winners, They end up burning through it so fast because they don't know how to handle it. They haven't built a foundation underneath them sometimes. Now, a smart lottery winner, of course, will be like, okay, I just got this beautiful thing. What do I do with it correctly? And they'll go and invest and they'll do the stuff that helps them. But a lot of people go, like me, with $30,000, like, boop, 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 get rid of it. I'm not wired for this. I'm not capable of this. And so this is what doing the work is about, because then you become unshakable because you've built a foundation underneath yourself that your ceiling in your basement just keep rising and rising and rising. You never go back to rock bottom anymore because you have tools and techniques that not just get you there, but keep you there, right? Whew, okay. My tangent. But my old basement on money, so many basements. What would get me to move? Having other people buy me groceries. This happened. These are all things that happened, obviously. I was born homeless. You guys don't know a lot of my life story, most of you at least. But we were born homeless, not on the streets. Thankfully, we were able to couch surf for a while. But my dad being an addict, that was just kind of how things went. He would come and go. We'd see him a couple weeks for the first couple years of my life. And so money was definitely a huge trigger of mine. So you can see and imagine what type of relationship I had with money, because it wasn't something that was consistent and it was very primal. Like, we don't have food. We don't have a roof over it. That's big stuff. That's, you know what I mean? That wires some things a little funky monkey. But people buying me groceries, running out of gas on the freeway, and I had no money. My bank account was negative. Oh, that was really fun. And in Phoenix, so it's hot as balls. It was during the summer. Sleeping in my car behind a hotel in Phoenix for a few days, and just like the fear of being a woman in a car in Phoenix. I think you guys can imagine. Having to move out of my first apartment because I couldn't afford it. And I was trying to put myself through college and I just couldn't do it all. And of course, what did that make me feel like? A loser, a failure. It's made me even more scared of money. So my old basement really sucked, right? Same thing with my relationships. When things got really good, when we were going to be vulnerable and open up or talk about the future, I was like, and goodbye. Like, I'm out. You are way too nice. And this is boring because I like chaos. My dad was married 7 times. No way. Like, love doesn't last. And my basement, I wouldn't leave a relationship sometimes until it became physically abusive. It could be unfaithful. It could be verbally abusive. Like, don't borrow my old basements and ceilings, y'all. Borrow my new ones, right? But we all have ceilings and basements that screw us over in life. We just need to address them, know them, and then have the tools to move up and out of them. And kind of just a research reminder here, neuroplasticity, basically breaking our mental limits and rewiring ourselves, which is what we are doing right now, whether you know it or not. Something I'm going to say or something that just kind of clicks for you over the next 5 days in some way is going to change you. I trust that that's going to happen. I believe that that's the case. I think that's why you're here. So you're already rewiring yourself in some beautiful way. That can happen at any age and at any time, and it can happen way faster than you think. So yes, anyone can shift. I don't care how embedded you are in your current reality, or you've seen people just never change no matter how bad their life is. Life is funky like that. But people can change, and they can change at any age. Yes, of course it gets a little harder once we have walked our walk 10,000 times, but that doesn't mean that we can't change. I'm a walking embodiment of that too. Oh, and side note too, that whole little basement and ceiling exercise is one of the lessons in the Authentic Creation program. So in the flagship program that some of y'all are winning in your shares of your homeworks and the whys and so forth. And it's also a lesson that if you become one of my coaches, you get to use on your clients. So you license some of those lessons too. So anyways, let's do a quick exercise, okay? I want y'all to know and feel this. We need embodiment. We better practice it, right? Practice what we preach. I want us to take a moment here, and I want you to decide what is your basement and ceiling, and we'll go with money, because most of you are like, that's probably my biggest hang up, right? But if you're like, there's something else I'm really like burning to know, relationships, or you're getting pulled in a different direction, let your intuition lead you. But otherwise, what is your basement and ceiling on money? How much money? And here's the thing. People get a little hung up on this sometimes, because sometimes they're like, no, I don't have a ceiling, Mandy. I want all the money. Bring in all the money. I'm like, you'd have all the money then. So no, you do have a ceiling. I don't expect you to be able to know that, but it's cool if you can go that deep. But if you can't go that deep, or that feels like, whoa, I don't know how to answer that question, buckle up, because there's some really cool tools and techniques to help you that we're going to keep talking about. But see if you can get there today. What is my ceiling on money? What could I even intuitively answer might be an amount of money, or I've seen in the past that money came in and then a bill came in straight away as well. What was that amount, or what was going on? Was it given to me and I didn't earn it? Like, what's all my rules around money? I can only spend it if I blah, 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 whatever. And then what's your basement on money? How little money or how bad does the financial situation need to get before you're like, all right, I will find an extra job, or I will do something about this. I will take a risk. I will, whatever. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Alrighty, y'all. I'll give you 5 minutes just to start jotting down some thoughts, percolating, getting some ideas going, and I'll see you back here. Hello, welcome back, welcome back. All right. So, in reading the chats, I just want to remind you all of this. I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell my coaches in the first 9 weeks of the EME program because we dive so deep into ourselves. You are more than welcome to sit in self-judgment and shame and feel bad about the way you're wired, but it's a waste of time. Instead, we don't get emotional, we get curious. So if you're like, my basement sucks, my ceiling sucks, there's nothing wrong with that. You're being honest. This is not the time to let your ego come in and be like, my ceiling is $1 million. That's great. I don't know. Unless you have $1 million in the bank, I'm not so sure if that's true. There's deeper levels. It's like we're like an onion. We've got to peel some of those layers off. So if you're being real and honest with yourself, don't let shame come in and like F with it. It's okay. We just have to do something with it. Expect that our basements and our ceilings are probably not going to be what we want, right? That's the whole point of the exercise. So, okay, as I shared yesterday, I remember wondering that same question that some of y'all have been talking about. Will I really help people? Who am I to help others? What if I don't meet their expectations? I would save every dollar that someone would invest in case they wanted a refund because I was so afraid. I was like, okay, well, I'll just give them all their money back just in case. What if I don't meet their expectations? I was doubting myself and I was facing imposter syndrome. Now, mind you, I was still moving forward. I was still coaching. I was still making it happen. I was still getting results. So I was slowly just proving these false beliefs I had. But then someone told me, my husband, you're already coaching. You're just not doing it formally yet, right? I needed to hear that in the beginning. Hey, you're already a coach. And that realization moved me into monetizing my skills, right? That realization changed everything. And it reminded me of this story that I want to share with y'all. And this is really for people who, for those of you we talked about yesterday, where you're like, I just want to make an impact, right? Like that was the start of it for me. I just want to make an impact. Like I just want to do what I came here to do. God help me do that. So my very first event, y'all, I was sweating through my socks. My feet stunk because I was so sweaty. I was so nervous. I was like, get me out of here. Why did I say I was going to do a retreat? I'm freaking out. And my husband's like, oh, he's shoving me on. There was no stage. It was a living room. It was 6 people. I was doing a retreat and I knew I could do the results. These were all clients that I'd already been working with and I invited them, to an ascension path of a retreat. But there was just something about, my fear of speaking in front of large groups just kicking in. And I was like, I don't want to do it. And so anyways, it went off without a hitch. It was so beautiful. We laughed, we cried, we shared it was so, so beautiful. But there was this one guy in the back. And he kind of kept his sunglasses on the whole time. And it was kind of bright in the room, mind you. There was a lot of windows, but he sat in the back and kept the sunglasses on. He was really kind of short with his answers and all that. And I was like, I'm worried about this one. Like, is he going to shift? And, I'm trying to wait. I'm trying to figure it all out and all that. And I'm like, he's going to be one of those that I'm going to have to refund because I don't think this is hitting for him. And he's clearly not ready to grow because every time I ask him a question, he's like, buttoned up. Long story short, a few months after that event, he reached out to me and he said, Mandy, I got to tell you something. That event, if it didn't work for me, I was going to kill myself. And I was like, what? He's like, it was done. I was done. I was so depressed. I was so done. And I was like, dude, tell me that next time. Like, actually, don't tell me because pressure. But what? I thought I failed you. And you were my greatest success to date. He was the first person that I had knowingly saved from suicide. Now, that number has grown so much. And I was like, you kept your sunglasses on the whole time. He's like, I was crying. And I was like, oh my God, I was so in my head. I made it about me and about how I was showing up and blah, blah. And how dare I, right? And he was one of my greatest successes. And now he's out living on a farm and he's got just an amazing community and he has a ponytail now. And we talk all the time still and we catch up and all that. But anyway, he was one of my greatest successes. So you never know. When we're in our heads about it, we are telling ourselves something that doesn't exist, right? So what I want you to take from that, from this is the realization that you're already coaching. Your role is to recognize it, develop it. Of course, we need qualified coaches, and then monetize that gift. Because people who pay attention, right? Now, are you ready for some coaching tools to shift fear, break through the other side of fear, where all the good stuff in life is, basically? Let's talk about this coaching principle number 1, the invisible fear. Sorry, I go fast on my notes. So Brian Tracy said, fear is the thief of dreams if you surrender to it. I love that so much. Fear is nothing if we do the right things with it, except for feedback. I love when fear shows up, I'm like, I'm about to grow. I'm about to bring more abundance into my life because I've just ran up against my ceiling. And that means there's something awesome on the other side. I have trained my brain to believe that to be true. Therefore, it became true. And fear's like that shadow, right? You can only see it when you turn away from the light. So you guys can turn away from the light. My mom used to always say that to me in the weirdest of ways. She'd be like, Mandy, turn towards the light. Whenever I'd be really anxious, thinking too much about my own problems or whatever, she'd tell me a few things. Square breathe for anxiety. When's the last time you helped somebody? And also turn towards the light. And I think that's why I always say shine your light, because there's plenty of darkness in the world. And if you want to look at the darkness, if you want to live in the darkness, you can do that. It's a free will universe. But there's also so much light, and you are the light. And I've always said life isn't so scary when you stop running away from it. The things that I feared were not nearly as big as I thought they were. I just had to stop running away from them. Because when I ran away from it, I made it bigger and bigger. And I thought that it was something that was so debilitating. But when I turned around and said, what are you? Come out of the darkness. It was usually like this tiny little thing. Something quite small, actually. So I'm going to walk you through a technique that I use when fear rears its head, when I get triggered. And it's called the STRO process. It is one of my favorite and quite simple, I would say, techniques, but it's very powerful. And anyone who uses it ends up having great results with it. So my gift to you. It's an acronym, obviously. S is for stimuli. We'll go over each one in a moment. Can we throw the graphic up real quick in case anyone wants to screenshot it, by the way? And then we'll take it down. So S is for stimuli. I'll smile so you guys can take a nice picture of me. I usually look like I'm sneezing when you guys take pictures and share it. And I'm like, I'm still posting it. So S is for stimuli. T is for trigger. R is for response. And O is for outcome. Now, we can imagine what these are, but we can go ahead and take this down. And let's break this down a little bit, okay? S, stimuli. S is just something that happened. Sorry, team, we can take this down. I didn't hit the right button. That's my fault, Chuck. S is the stimuli. It is the thing that, in some way, it just is something that happened. That's how I see it. It's just something that happened. But T, the trigger, is where we start breathing life into making it mean something. We get triggered about what happened. Someone flips us off on the freeway, that's stimuli. But the trigger, we get angry, we get sad, we get mad. That part is what I want to pay attention to. The trigger in and of itself is something we are telling ourselves about the stimuli. This is so important, so I'm slowing it down. Stimuli is just stimuli. And the trigger, what we tell ourselves about that thing, can vary per person, but it's based on our own shit, something that we are wired to receive as. Because let's say that for those of you who have a boss, or maybe you have employees or something, let's just say that your boss or your employee just went like haywire one day, starts just like berating you, screaming at you. How would y'all react? Throw it in the chats. How would you react to that scenario, that stimuli? Yeah, a lot of different reactions, right? We would all react a bit differently. Some of us might be similar, but some of us might be angry. Some of us might shut down. Some of us might run away. Some of us might go, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Some of us might go, what's wrong with them? Whatever it is. But if we get triggered in any way, if it provokes an emotion, basically, to me, a trigger, the definition of a trigger is anything that pulls me off of my natural state. As soon as I start feeling inauthentic, and there are positive triggers, but we don't talk about it today. So we're talking about negative triggers. Anything that throws me into a more negative vibrational state is a trigger. But how is it that one thing that occurred can produce so many different feelings in all of us? Well, it's the meaning we place on it. Now, I tell you this because when you start to understand this, it will strip the trigger of the power in which it holds over you right now. When you start realizing you are telling yourself something about something that occurred, most often you're not telling yourself the truth. But now going back to the R in STRO, R is how we react and respond to it. So if we're coming from a trigger that is rooted in our past, which is the only way we get triggered, by the way, right? Something happens, our brain wants to know what to do with it straight away. So it's just going to follow the neurological pathway we currently have in those regards. We tell ourselves something we've been telling ourselves for a long time. I'm unworthy. Nobody likes me. Everyone's an asshole, whatever. Well, then, of course, the next thing is a specific reaction that we choose. And that is actually what y'all wrote down. You're going to shut down, you're going to run away, you're going to yell, you're going to do something. You're going to react to that stimuli because it provoked a feeling out of you. But just like if someone, merges into your lane gently, easily, and you don't even think twice of it, that's also stimuli, but it didn't provoke an emotion. Therefore, you don't react, right? See where I'm going with this? This is why the stimuli that provokes emotions are so important, because emotions are the precursors to consciousness. Emotions are what deciphers the next thing that happens in our reality. This is why EME has emotions in it. We have to know our emotions because they are the juiciest feedback ever. Oh, they give us everything we need to know about ourselves. Talk about mastery when we start to play with our emotions. Most of the world sits where emotions run them, right? No one taught me, hey, by the way, you can actually rewire your emotions. Your reactions in life can shift, and your reality, your outcome, the O in STRO will actually change when you do that. Whether it's that you won't inflame yourself with neurohormones that cause massive stress, you won't jump into a part of your brain that can't solve problems. Your life will literally change when what meaning you place on stimuli starts to shift. It starts at the beginning, but we can see it will bleed outwardly in a way that doesn't serve us if we don't start telling ourselves something different. Now, it has to be authentic what we tell ourselves. So let's just go through an example here, okay? An example I use sometimes, Oliver looked at me weird this morning. Let's say my husband looked at me weird. S, the stimuli would be the look. The look was the thing that got me going, that was a weird look. Wonder why and this could all be happening unconsciously. I'm sitting there and I'm taking care of the kids and I got a million other things to do. I'm still processing that piece of information I just saw, right? We're processing most data unconsciously. So then I'm like, oh, he kind of looked at me weird. That was odd. I wonder what's going on. And maybe because of something from my past or the way that I looked at myself in the mirror that day, I was like, I already don't feel attractive. So now I feel even more unattractive. He's probably looking at me like that because he doesn't like the way that I look today. Or is something wrong with me? I got to go check the mirror. Like, what, do I have a booger? Like, what's going on? And my reaction to that might be, I feel insecure. Maybe I get defensive out of nowhere. And he's sitting there like, what? Why is she, barking at me or whatever? And the outcome is maybe I pull away from Oliver and I lose connection. I lose connection, one of my most basic human needs. But what else could that stimuli have meant? What could that look also have been? He was about to sneeze. Maybe he was thinking about the dirty diaper that he just changed from one of our kids. He had a leg cramp. Nothing about me, but I made it about me. I self-identified with it because it was bringing up something I was in resonance with. The idea of STRO is that as we start moving through this process, when we start to interrupt the process, when we start telling ourselves something new, when we start just broadening the perspective of what else could this mean, because usually I'll tell you what, you're usually wrong on the meaning that you placed. It's very rare that someone's actually right. And at minimum, there are more meanings we can place. Your boss can yell at you, and yeah, maybe you did do a report wrong last week, but your boss could also be going through a divorce. Misplaced, their energy in that moment. There's so much more to the story. And it's our job to get curious about the meaning that we're placing on it and why. Why would I tell myself that that's what that thing meant? Or why does it have any meaning at all, right? So studies reveal that curiosity alone, this is why I'm like, no judgment, no shame, get curious, get curious, get curious. Curiosity diminishes fear's grip on the brain. Asking questions, just us asking, what else could this mean, is reducing activity in our fear center that's known as the amygdala. And it literally makes us more resilient. Just that alone, how powerful is that? Just asking ourselves questions. We don't have to have the answers, people. This is where I love my perfectionists to hear this out. Sometimes we think in order to get to the result, like we need to be perfect immediately. We need to know the entire situation. We got to have the whole thing solved. No, one step in the right direction. What else could this mean? You just grew. You just grew more than you could possibly imagine by just going, maybe there's more to the story. Another one that people talk about a lot is the unexpected bill. You get an unexpected bill in the mail, right? So what's our stimuli? Go through this with me. Put it in the chats. We open that unexpected bill. It shows up, right? We open it up and we're like, whoo, that's not the number I wanted to see. I didn't want to see any number. Honestly, it'd be great if it was a refund check. And then our T becomes we're triggered that unplanned money is going out. Or fill in the blank, how you would feel. What's the trigger, right? And go deeper. What are we telling ourselves? Oof, something's going to go bad. Like, I don't have enough money in my account. And we react. Our response is, well, maybe we panic. We think small. We penny pinch. That was me. Oh my gosh. Whenever I felt unsafe about money, I was like, let me jot down every bill of mine. Let's see where I can cut it. And it made me feel falsely in control for a little bit. That is not where that energy should have gone. It should have gone to way bigger and better things, as in solving the root issue of my money, right? But we react in some way. We get more controlling, perhaps. And then the outcome, we are not in the right part of our brains to even solve the damn problem. We're potentially even manifesting more financial problems because now we're in that fear-based model, and we already know what exists in a fear-based world. More fear. I get stressed. I get so stressed that I yell at my kids because I can't handle my feelings in that moment. Ugh. And then I get to shame spiral too. This is not fun, right? Now, bonus points if you can find the root need that's being threatened here. Because the only reason that we get triggered is because a very deep need is not being met in that moment, or we feel it's being threatened. So what's being threatened for the bill, the money example here? What's being threatened? When it's just a bill that came in, we may even have the money to pay it, but it still stresses us out. Absolutely. Uncertainty, safety, our security. Because again, money is food. Back in the saber-tooth, tiger days, if we couldn't run away, if we didn't have food, we croaked. And money does what now? Money provides the food. Money provides the shelter. Money keeps us safe from our ultimate fear, right? So the hardest quote unquote thing to manifest, it's because we deal with it so primally. It's not because it's a hard thing. It's because we've wired to see it and experience it from such a primal standpoint. And anything that sits super primal is usually going to have a pretty dense energy to it. But money of course, is just energy because everything is energy, but it can be a dense energy. And that's why it becomes lighter for some. And the lighter it becomes, the faster it also shows up. So how do we pattern interrupt this STRO process? Now, there's much more in-depth tools and techniques. I'm giving you guys the simpler versions because some of these techniques do take a week or two to learn. We don't have that time here. But let's just reframe it today. Simple things. Gratitude for having the money to pay it. What did that bill relate to? This phone bill helped me connect with my loved ones. This medical bill helped me get blood work so I can focus on my health. And you know what? Didn't show up exactly how I like, but there's room for some gratitude. I'm just trying to expand the understanding a little bit. I'm trying to place a couple extra meanings in there. That doesn't mean that we have to negate what we're telling ourselves about it. That's juicy gold. We want to know that. That's something that we need to know about ourselves. But in order for us to start diffusing it, we also want to place additional meanings. Does that make sense? With my dad, for example, when I was a kid, the only meaning that I could place on it was he doesn't want to be around because I'm not enough. So anytime that I would see someone rejecting me, I'd go, it's because I'm not enough. It would trigger that old wound. Not, they don't want to play with me, or I'm not their type of person, or I'm just not their, their cup of tea, whatever. I couldn't just see it as stimuli because I had an old wound. So I would bring that to the party. But as I got older, I was able to go, but what else could this mean? Was it really that I was just like not a great daughter and I was an unworthy child? No. He was an addict. It was probably the greatest gift he gave me was to not let me see that. And that's so healing when we go, everything isn't about me. I know we're kind of built to self-identify with everything, but perhaps it's not. So I always say, and this is what I do still to this day sometimes, although I do it in my journal instead, but way back in the day when I was really starting to work on my triggers, because I realized my triggers are what is totally effing up my life. I was like walking around in a pretty much constant state of trigger, just ping-ponging between one trigger to the next, completely inauthentic. Once I saw that that was happening, didn't mean that I was not getting triggered, just meant I was aware of it. But I was like, I'm gonna roll the sleeves up because I don't want to sit in this space either. I would do what I called whiteboard it out. So I had this big old whiteboard in my apartment at the time. I'd flip that sucker up and I would write, Mandy is triggered. And I would write down everything I'm telling myself. So I want you guys to do my, proverbial whiteboard exercise. Throw it up on the whiteboard, okay? Practical exercise here. Think about the last time that you were triggered.
Yesterday.
Could have been 5 seconds ago. Could have been yesterday when I was talking about money. Could have been, I don't know, something that's still itching at you. The moment you think about it, it re-triggers you perhaps. I want you to STRO yourself. Write down the stimuli. It's just a thing that occurred. What's the trigger? Basically, what are you telling yourself about it? Feel free to write down how you normally react. Like I normally shut down, I normally blow up. This is patterns be patterns. You probably do about the same thing every time. And what's the outcome of those unconscious choices that you make? You may think that's the only reaction that you can choose. You may think that's the only meaning that you can place on it. We got to expand past that. And then let's reframe it. You might ask yourself, is this even mine? Does this have anything to do with me? Or did I make it about myself? Or is this accurate? Are there more meanings than what I originally placed? Is this the only truth that is available to me? Or did I sink into an unhealed part of myself and now I have tunnel vision and that's all I can simply see? What is another accurate truth? Okay, we're going to journal this out. I really want you guys to take this one seriously. So we'll throw up that on the screen for a moment. We'll take maybe another, 5-ish minutes or so. But go ahead and go through this process. STRO yourself in real time. Okay? All right, I'll see you guys back in just a few moments. right, welcome back. Let's jam into that calming music. Okay, how does that feel? I love it. I'm loving seeing you guys are like, whoa, okay, this is insightful already. Take that with you. It will get deeper and deeper and deeper. And you can use this on big and small things. STRO yourself. The next time you find yourself triggered, instead of being like, I'm going to go ahead and just spiral out, I'm going to go all the way down to my basement, you're going to stop yourself and you're going to go, I'm going to STRO this. What just happened? What am I telling myself about it? And bonus points, of course, if you can find out what the deeper need is, at minimum, try to interrupt it. What you would normally do, your normal reaction and response, do something different. It'll start changing the way you're neurologically wired. Cool? All righty. Good, good. Let's move on to coaching principle number 2, the forest and the trees. The forest and the trees. What does this mean? So this is all about us getting the big picture, okay? You want to see the forest and the trees. When you're in the trees, like imagine when you go camping in a really wooded area, you can't see much, right? At night, you're like, what was that noise? I cannot see. It is dark. And there's just a whole lot of, I'm kind of encapsulated here. So when you're in the trees, it's like being lost in a forest, right? You can't see much. You don't know which way is which, perhaps. You can't find the river. You can't find the road. But when you zoom out, you're like in a bird's eye view, in essence, you can see the entire forest, right? That helps you very easily see where water is, that the road is actually just a few meters down to the left, so on. So similar to STRO, we need the big picture. We need to see where we are, but we also need to see where we're headed. Because if you're in the trees, we use this analogy as well in EME, is if you're in the tornado with clients, right? Like have you ever had someone, whether it's a friend or a client, and they're spiraling out? They're in a really chaotic part of their brain right now. They're just woo, woo, and you're starting to be like, whoa, I'm going with them. We get ourselves to the eye of the tornado. We are calm. We're at the epicenter. We know what's going on. So sometimes for ourselves as well, similar to what STRO is really doing, is it's zooming us out. We can see more meanings than one. Trigger warning, but I want you to see how deep this work can work. A few years, this is about pregnancy loss. So again, trigger warning. A few years ago, before we had our beautiful daughter that we have today, our last child, we had a miscarriage of our daughter, another daughter. And I remember thinking like, this was the girl that I was so excited. Everything was going great. I was in the middle of publishing my first book. Like things were going really well, really, really well in life, per the usual. And then all of a sudden, pregnancy loss. Now, without going into all of the details of that story, I remember thinking all of the humanistic things. How did this happen? Did I do something wrong? Society taught me this is really sad and really painful and horrible. And I was just trying to process a plethora of emotions that I'd never experienced before. And within that very real grief and pain, I was also able to see maybe there's something more here. That's just, I've wired myself as such. It has done amazing things in my life. And it's one thing to do it with someone who flips you off on the freeway. It's another to do it with something like this. And so I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to attempt to STRO myself, right? And I had one of my friends, one of my wonderful friends, thank goodness for her. And she said something to me. She goes, Mandy, I know I can tell you this because of how you're wired. She said, this was the greatest act of unconditional love that there could ever be. And I understood what she meant. And in that moment, it was, of course, a very spiritual understanding, so it's not for everybody. But for me, I understood that my daughter, although she wasn't on the earthly plane the way that I humanistically wanted, and I had placed a meaning of massive loss, which there's room for, and that's valid, there was also something outside of it, which was this incredible frequency that she filled me up with while she was with me, that I gave to our children that were earthside. And that I eventually gave to the world. And there was all these insights that happened during that time. And I was like, wherever, we named her Eliana, wherever Eliana is, she came from something really beautiful. And maybe she couldn't stay, but she came long enough to give us that. And that is beautiful. So even amidst my darkness, I could find the light. And if I can STRO myself in those moments, my God, right? And so I invite you all, even in the most difficult of things that you've experienced in your life, there may be light there. I know that might feel really hard, or that is a trigger in and of itself to hear somebody say that, but there is light in so many things. And at minimum, there are so many more meanings than we may open ourselves up to. But when we do, healing can happen. And of course, we only place meanings that feel authentic. We're not emotionally bypassing. We're not spiritually bypassing ourselves. We're not toxic positivity. We don't do that shit in EME. But sometimes, more often than not, like I said, there are more meanings than the one in which we've placed. And it opens up a whole new world for us. Now, the next concept I want to talk about is one of my favorites. I've been talking about getting to the root quite a bit, right? So we're going to talk about the roots and the fruits, okay? The roots, when I talk about those like things that we want to pull that sucker out right at the bottom, that's your core belief. The roots are your core belief. It is very rare that somebody knows what their root actually is. That is our job as coaches, to get to the root. That is what my entire methodology is known worldwide for, is we're really good at getting that, instant transformation. I would say the instant is really just because we're going so deep so fast, and we know how to do it in a safe way. We get to the root. So the root is your core belief. The fruits are your results. The fruits are what you're after in life. It's the things that you want, what you're trying to experience. But it's the results. It is basically the byproduct of those roots. So when people go, I have been trying, I have been working, I'm doing a blah, 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 that's the branches. That's how you get to the fruits. Those are the methods and the tools that you use. But you're probably using the wrong branches. You're using the wrong vehicles to get to the fruits because you don't know your roots. Does that make sense? Let's throw up a graphic for my visual learners here. So roots equal your core beliefs. The branches are how you get to the fruits. The methods and the tools. So let's say that your fruit, your result is, I want to lose weight. Simple one. I want to lose weight. You may diet. That would be one of your branches. You might exercise a lot. You might, whatever it is. But let's say you're not addressing the root. You just started the branches. You're like, all right, my diet starts tomorrow. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it yields a result. And sometimes it doesn't. I like things that work pretty consistently. I like consistent shifts, right? So I have to also make sure that my beliefs align with the vehicles and the tools in which I'm using. Because I know that my fruits in life are not just something I'm doing. It's something I'm believing. So I also want to go down to a root. And let's just say that a core belief at the root is, I'm unworthy, or I have experienced, trigger warning, sexual abuse. I've experienced sexual abuse. So I keep this weight to protect myself. I'm not just going to let it go just because I started eating more salads. Like, the fuck, right? So that root, that core belief has to be addressed. And this is why so many people go through self-development or our programs and they're like, I lost 80 pounds. I didn't do anything different. It's worked on myself. Yeah, it's called energetic weight. It's a thing. But whatever it is, if your fruits aren't what you want in life, guess what? We're working with the wrong roots. So the fruit could be in relationships, you feel lonely, you feel disconnected, you keep dating the same type of person, you're repeatedly experiencing misunderstandings, the breakups, and you're like, I want my soulmate, but like, I'm kind of over this. So the result is not a fruit that you want, right? You're not getting the fruits you want. The branch, the vehicle in which you're using, which is yielding those types of fruits, is you avoid vulnerability. Maybe you're rushing into relationships. You want them to be something that they're not. You struggle with communication. And that root could be that growing up, you learned to hide your feelings, or it was not safe, or it wasn't okay to express yourself. Past rejections, emotional abandonment. There's so many reasons. But that belief about being basically unworthy of love becomes the root of your relationship patterns. Therefore, you keep experiencing it as a fruit. And you don't know why. You're frustrated, right? You're like, I'm leaning in. I'm trying, blah, blah, blah. We just haven't gone deep enough. We got to peel another layer of that beautiful onion of you. We just need to get to that root. And so let's expand upon that. If you want a loving, harmonious relationship, focusing just on superficial behaviors, such as like, oh no, I'll be a little bit more open sometimes. That's not going to sustain long-term change. The real work is in healing the deep-rooted fear of rejection, or unworthiness of love, or, fill in the blank, whatever it is for each person. And that influences how you connect or don't connect with someone. But when you nurture that root, that beautiful need that's there for a reason, there's nothing wrong with your roots. If you have a shitty core belief, that's okay. It's trying to meet a need. It's just doing it wrong. But we love ourselves through that. That's very, very important to this process. But when we start to nurture that root, maybe through some self-love or inner healing, the branches that will just naturally grow are authentic, trusting connections if it's relationships. And the fruit is going to be relationships filled with love and trust. It can just be no other way. It's almost like a universal law. When we deal with it at the root, the branches and the fruits just change. And I love it because I'm not a lazy person, but sometimes I like things that are a little bit faster. So I'm like, if I can go to the root and deal with this sucker, I can pull it out. Because if you sit there hacking at the fruits and the branches, you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't want that one. Oh, shoot, let me try another way to get there. Blah, blah, blah. Like, those are hacks in life. You want to embody it, right? You want to get to the root. Because you could hack a branch, you turn around, another branch is sprouted because the root's still there. You didn't get that weed out yet, right? That's how that works. But if we pulled the whole sucker out correctly, everything attached to it that was also screwing things up is also gone in the process. And this is why life can change so quickly when we go to the root, because we're dealing with it correctly. Same thing with finances. Fruit is you're constantly broke or you're overwhelmed by debt. The branch might be you spend impulsively. You're like, oh, soon it comes in, like, get it out. I don't know how to handle it. You avoid budgeting. You don't track your expenses, or maybe you white knuckle them like I did. And maybe the root is growing up, you saw your parents constantly worried about money for maybe very real reasons that aren't as real anymore. Again, what else could it mean? They're not as real anymore for you. Maybe they spent to feel better. Maybe you saw irresponsible spending. Perhaps you learned that money equals stress, that you're never enough, and now you've just tied a fruit, a really weird thing, seemingly unrelated, y'all. I can't tell you how much unworthiness is the root, and money is the thing people are focused on. People will be like, Mandy, I want to make money. Help me make money. Let's manifest money. I'm like, cool, let's talk about your dad. They're like, why? That has nothing to do with it. Teach me that. I'm like, has everything to do with it. Let me show you how. That core belief about not being worthy or whatever, that becomes the root that we have to deal with. That's the thing that's actually holding us back. So then to change our financial situation, you got to go deeper into those beliefs. Perhaps you've adopted the mindset that money is stress. I'll never have enough, right? So when you work on shifting that core belief, reprogramming your mindset about abundance, financially speaking, in this example of it in general, really, we should. The impulsive spending habits, the money struggles, they just naturally start to dissolve because they're not a part of a new root. Those things don't exist with new core beliefs, right? It doesn't make sense. So it's not something that you breathe life into. So the branches, aka your behaviors, what you do, well, they'll align with the new healthier money mindset. And the fruit becomes financial peace, stability, knowingness that you'll, whatever it is. It shifts everything. In career, the fruit, you feel stuck. You feel unfulfilled. You dislike your job. The branch, you avoid asking for what you want. So even if you're like, I want to start a business, or maybe I just want a raise or whatever, I'm not doing it. You procrastinate on your career growth. I see that a lot, right? You stay in a comfort zone. And the root is perhaps you grew up with a belief that to be successful, you have to sacrifice your happiness. Or I'm not good enough for more. Maybe you saw parents stay in a job they hated because they thought change was dangerous. These beliefs, what you see, what programs you, becomes the roots. So shifting your career starts with addressing those core beliefs, realizing that you do deserve fulfillment. You do deserve success without sacrificing everything, let's just say. But when you recondition that root by affirming your worth and visualizing a successful, joyful career, combating and reframing, STROing yourself, in essence, those false beliefs, the branches of the procrastination and the fear and all that stuff, they start to fade away. And the fruit that those things produce, way different as well. So we had to pull those suckers out at the root. There's my child. I love it. Okay, so let's do an activity, shall we? We're going to work on your beliefs. Okay? Let's do an activity where we're going to work on your beliefs just for a moment here. And here's the thing, limiting beliefs is not a fresh topic in the world of self-development, but a lot of people are going about it incorrectly, which is why it's not working. I want to go as deep as we possibly can, but we are onions. I like in a beautiful way. We're going to peel back a layer and a deeper layer and a deeper layer, and that's good. We don't have to get to the root straight away if that doesn't feel safe just yet. I don't expect for all of this knowledge and information I'm throwing at you to immediately go in and you're like, I know my core belief, Mandy, in 5 minutes. No, that's cool if you do, and it's okay if you don't. But I want you to pick a situation that you're struggling with right now or an area in life. Make a decision. You're going to explore that belief today. That's all I'm asking. You're going to make a decision that you're going to explore that belief. We don't have to eradicate it. We don't have to know it perfectly. We're going to explore it. We're going to get curious about it. I call this the 1% rule. We think sometimes that in order for us to get where we're trying to go, we need to, like, as soon as we hear a concept, we need to master it. We need to master it yesterday, right? I should have had this one down. Well, Mandy just gave me STRO. I better never get triggered again. No, that's not how this stuff works. This is not mastery. That's not how you get to mastery. Instead, I want you guys to focus on, I'm going to grow 1% every day. That might mean that one day I'm just going to learn about myself. That might mean that one day I like quantum leap in my growth and I get a really deep shift. Some days I'm going to cha-cha and I'm going to feel like I went back a little bit. But every day I'm going to try to grow 1%. And you are going to be absolutely amazed with how much growth occurs when you stop focusing on the idea that you haven't grown enough. Think about just that simple fork in the road where you can sit there and self-flagellate and go, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I haven't done it well enough. What a low vibration, right? What a really sneaky way to keep ourselves stuck, actually. It's an unconscious choice we make so that we won't grow. By the way, that's a self-protection mechanism. We'll talk about that more on day 5. Or I'm going to get curious about this as much as I possibly can, as much as my own psyche right now can handle. That is good. And you're growing 1%, and you need to celebrate that. So let's go ahead and pick a situation you're struggling with. Make a decision. You're going to explore that belief today. So maybe eventually we shift the root, but you'll have to work backwards. What are the fruits in that particular area? I'm worried about my finances. What do my finances look right now? How have I tried to solve this so far? Is that working? Probably not, or your finances would look different. What types of things did I see growing up, or that I believe about money, or that society taught me about, fill in the blank, that I've accidentally adopted based on the way I react, with the way I STRO my life? So I'll throw up a couple questions to get the juices flowing. Today we're doing tips and techniques, again, embodiments. So we got to keep journaling these out. So we'll throw this up here. 1, what are some of your old beliefs about yourself in that particular area? Or you could just go with generalizations. Where would those old beliefs lead you? Where do those crappy old beliefs lead you? What type of life are you going to have? What type of financial situation are you going to have in 10 years if you hold on to the beliefs you have today? And this is not for us to go, oh my God, I'm freaking out. This is going to be really bad. We're getting curious, people. And then what are some new beliefs about yourself, or whatever it is that you're working on, that you've already kind of started to percolate on from this challenge? And where would those new beliefs lead you? What does life look like down the road if you were to just keep those beliefs? What are the fruits that come from something like that? All right, I'll see you back in a couple minutes. Have some fun with this. All right, come on back. I'm sure some of you are going to continue to journal this out. You've got some beautiful homework to do as we round off our day eventually. But we still have more to jump in. So I want to make sure that we keep on diving. We got principle number 3 to talk about. The chicken or the egg. This is me with one of my chickens. Literally one of my chickens. I was a teenager at the time. Now she's a little lady. Okay, so often we say this whole, I want to do this, but I would do this, but your rational mind version of procrastination, basically. You're like, oh, totally, but this. And it helps you kind of feel okay with staying stuck. You guys know what I'm talking about. These beautiful excuses that we've really worked out in our minds to where there's not a whole lot of, oh, I know I really could, but I'm just kind of using it as an excuse. We've gotten really good at it, right? But which one comes first, right? So imagine your dream as a fire. I love visualizations. Imagine your dream as a fire, or an analogy, I guess, waiting for the spark. The spark is your initial action, right? We talked about getting out of the box. Intention, right? We have to make a decision. So that action is the decision, is your initial action that ignites the flame. But what will stop the fire from starting? The chronic but, right? I would do it, but. And this is basically waiting for perfect support, perfect circumstances. And that's like waiting for perfect kindling for that fire. It never fully arrives, and you miss out on so much because of it. So much. Like I was saying earlier, unnecessary lessons and pain and blah. Don't do that to yourself. Who has what I call perfectionism paralysis? Yeah, most of you probably. We all do in some way, right? Well, that's what we use as a rational excuse to not get started. Did you know perfectionism reduces productivity by up to 40%? That's an actual study. 40% we become less effective by being perfectionist. That was totally me. Oh my gosh. Again, beginning, going way back, I was like, I don't have a website. I don't have this. It needs to look like that. I don't even know. Like, if I actually sat there and said, like, what do I need? I'd be like, I don't even know. I'm not even trying to know. I'm just going to pretend like I've got a few things, steps along the way. The reality was I was just afraid of shining my light. I was afraid of being seen, at least enough to keep myself stuck. So a powerful, simple question that you can ask yourself is, am I reacting or am I creating? Reactors are going to wait for circumstances, and you're usually going to wait until you hit your basement. It's not fun. Perfectionists do not win in life. Creators set things in motion, and they almost always do it a little bit messy. My husband always says, like, jump off the cliff and build your parachute on the way down. And that seems scary, but it has brought so much self-awareness and abundance into my life by doing something before I felt ready. Because you're never going to feel ready. You really don't. Like, not until you build like a buttload of confidence and you really know yourself. There's still going to be things, because hopefully you're going to keep busting through a ceiling, right? If you don't keep expanding, even if life looks amazing eventually, you're going to keep expanding. You're going to come up against another ceiling. I hit new ceilings all the time because I'm still growing. Now, I have great issues. I always joke that, like, I always mess this one up. My old ceiling couldn't kiss my basement's ass today because my life is just so much better that it couldn't even touch it. My worst day is still my best day 15 years ago. So your need for perfect circumstances ensures you stay stuck. Even if you have built a world around yourself that has falsely made you feel okay about it, right? I did that. I did that to avoid failure. I did that so I didn't have to deal with the core beliefs of I'm not good enough. It wasn't even that I was actually so good at that, because I kept messing up, right? Perfectionists never feel like you're enough. You never get it right anyway. So the same thing that you're trying to run away from is the thing that ball and chain chases you every day, dragging you down, right? But I was good at being a slightly big fish in an extremely small pond. That was my safety zone. I felt okay about that. And I was just dying inside. So for those of you struggling with this, think about being in a room with a high achiever. That high achiever has found success. And first and foremost, mind you, I hope and I trust that you guys are people that will bless that which you seek. If you see someone who is living the life that you want, or you get triggered by something, but then you go, would I want that? Right? Would I want, I don't know, if you see someone flying on a private jet and you're like, oh my God, terrible. How irresponsible. And then, someone's like, hey, if I gave you like $1 million, or, you had a one-time chance to ride it, would you do it? And you're like really honest with yourself. You're like, maybe. Okay. I wonder. So bless that which you seek, right? Celebrate other people who are doing that, that high achieving stuff. Get around them. Learn from them. Don't let your ego slap you down. Like, that's just, what a waste, right? But anyways, imagine being in a room with someone who has achieved something that you want, right? They've found success in that area. They've taken a lot of risks. Guarantee it. They've taken risks. They've seen plenty of failure to get there. You may not see it in that moment. You're just seeing the final product, right? If I sat here and listed out everything I went through in the past 10 years, you guys would be like, okay. Yeah, no, I can do it. I can totally do it. Me too, right? They just are where you want to be. But if you got to see everything that they went through, the mind chatter, the trials and tribulations, do you still feel like your perfectionism has paved the way for you? Would you still feel that way? Probably not. Or have you gotten really good at blinding yourself to your true potential? I don't know. You know. So let's do an action step today. Let's identify one action that you can start today. Could be a small step, whatever, that moves you forward, that will move the needle on your goal. And we all share the common goal of thriving as a life coach, so we're going to stick to that. Even if you don't feel ready, because you're probably not going to, because you're a perfectionist, We're going to make that post. We're going to share that video, even if we don't look perfect. We're going to take that leap. As a reminder, y'all, I'm wearing my cookie pants today. Whoa! Business on top, party on bottom. You know what I'm saying? Share that video, do that thing, be seen, whatever it is. What is one action step you're going to take? Okay? When we start percolating on it, start thinking about that. And something I call the law of inaction, not taking action, not making a decision, basically, is like leaving your garden unwatered. You are ensuring you will stay where you are, which probably has a payoff, by all means. It's just not one that you want. But the cost of inaction is what I want you to understand. I want you to understand there's missed opportunities. There's stagnation. There is a life unfulfilled. So you're trading momentary safety for a moment to get to the end of your life and go, damn it, I should have done that. Ugh. Right? But the payoff of taking action, a flourishing, abundant, beautiful garden full of growth and beauty. But if you have crappy fruits, you got crappy roots. You just don't know it yet. Crappy fruits, crappy roots, do. Okay, let's write this down because I want to hammer this in. All right, I'm going to give you just a couple moments here because I don't want your mind to start coming in and being like, oh, I'll take this action. And then all of a sudden it talks you out of it immediately. Identify one action you can start today. If your intuition popped up with something, I don't care how big and scary it is, you better freaking do it. I wish I could hold you to the fire, but I'm trying right now. What is that step that's going to move you forward? Now, in Authentic Living in our programs, before we start this journal time, we are really big on taking massive action. So sometimes when someone comes to our events, we ask them, you want a level 1, you want a level 10? Level 10 is life's going to completely whip you around for the next couple days, but it's never going to be the same again. And some brave souls sometimes say, give me a level 10. And life is completely different. So I invite you to the idea that the bolder the action, no matter how scary, it's probably going to break some systems that you've built. It's probably going to come up against some parts of you that you have identified as most correct or will lose the least or whatever. But it will also tell you a hell of a lot about yourself. And that's what this is about right now, is us mastering ourselves just a little bit more so we understand why we have the life we have. Because the reason we do is something that beautifully sits inside of ourselves that may or may not need to stay or go or just be healed and elevated, transmuted, if you will. Alrighty, so I want you to address and choose an action. You're not going to go back on it. You're doing it, period. I'll give you one in case you want to play with this one because people love this one now that I think about it. I gave this to a guy once. He had come to an event a couple years ago, and he was like, basically every decision he made was always really heavy and hard. And I think he was living in either Puerto Rico or Costa Rica. I can't remember. He had finally moved. He was loving where he was living. He was kind of in that in between. And his parents were going through quite a few different health problems. He had some traumas with them and so forth. Really long story short, he was making a lot of decisions out of obligation. Obligation is a very low frequency. And so I said, if you so choose, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm going to give you options. I'm not the giver of the shift. I'm the facilitator of it, right? If you so choose, for the next 2 weeks, no matter how hard it is, you cannot make a decision that feels heavy. You simply cannot. You have to say no. And of course, people immediately rationalize and they go, well, I say no to work, but Mandy, I have to pay my bills. So, wow, what a cool thing to write down and start addressing with yourself. But I invite you, if this feels right to you, and again, it's a big one. You could do it for maybe 24 hours if that feels better. You have to say no to anything that feels heavy and just see what happens. See what shows up with the people that you have in your environment. See what shows up in your personal world. See what shows up in your mind. This isn't about us getting a perfect result from it, but it's definitely about learning some serious things about what's going on in our world. Alrighty, I'll give you a moment. Think about your action step. I'll see you back in just a few minutes.
Tried to plant my dreams in a garden of clay. Watered them with hope, but they withered away. Sunshine laughing, but the soil won't play. Guess my green thumb took a holiday. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Every seed I sow it disputes. The orchard's a mess, can't compute. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Bought a bag of seeds from a guy named Lou. He said this'll grow something wild and true. But the vines, they tangled, the jungle ensued. Now I'm stuck in the weeds with the garden feud. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Every seed I sow it disputes. The orchard's a mess, can't compute. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Bought a bag of seeds from a guy named Lou. He said this'll grow something wild and true. But the vines, they tangled, the jungle ensued. Now I'm stuck in the weeds with the gardening feud. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Every seed I sow it disputes. The orchard's a mess, can't compute. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Tried to compost my regrets, spin them to gold. But the worms just laughed, left the pile cold. Nature's a joker, so brash and bold. Guess I'm stuck in this farmer's fold. Dreams of apples, peaches, pears galore. But my branches bear nothing, they're a decor. A scarecrow mocks me from the field's core. Guess I'm farming failure forevermore. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Every seed I sow it disputes. The orchard's a mess, can't compute. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Every seed I sow it disputes. The orchard's a mess, can't compute. Crappy roots, crappy fruits. Bought a bag of seeds.
Welcome back. Welcome back. That song is an AI song that Chuck in the tech room made a couple challenges ago. It's so good, isn't it? And for those of you who are like, Luke, who's Luke? That's his son who was in the tech room with him that day. And so Chuck's always making some fun stuff for us. You could be a producer too, Chuck, a music producer someday. Okay, so we journaled that out. I saw quite a bit happening in the chats for that. Now, before I go to coaching principle number 4, I want to share another really powerful story with you. A story of transformation and purpose. And every day I'm going to share one. You guys saw Kimberly yesterday? Miss Kimberly. We love Miss Kimberly. We ended up pulling her into authentic living for some stuff in between all the stuff she does with horses. But she talked yesterday about her beautiful, thriving business using horses to heal others. She's one of our EME graduates. So we decided, you know what? You hear a whole lot from me, but let's hear from other people who are walking around doing the damn thing and making amazing things happen, because there's so many different types of coaches. They all come from completely different walks of life. So yesterday, Kimberly's a doctor. Today, you're going to hear from someone absolutely amazing. And I want to share one every day just to kind of inspire y'all. And I want you to see and feel what's possible, especially if you're like me. And if you grew up without, maybe some specific role models or examples of what's possible in life, we need to be reminded for a while until it becomes all we know. It eventually just wires that way. And then we're like, yeah, of course, everything's possible. Of course, right? One of my sons I have 3 sons and a daughter. One of my sons literally believes that he can control the weather. And it's really weird because he'll say I don't want it to snow today. And even though it's 80% chance of snow, it won't snow. I'm like, this kid, I don't know, but he believes it to be true. And I have the belief that if we believe something 100%, it could be no other way. The faith of a mustard seed can move a mountain. So I'm going to play a video of my husband again, Oliver Nino, the spiritual activator. He's much better at interviewing people, I'd say, than me. But he's having a candid conversation with another one of our EME alumni practitioners. Enjoy, pay attention to any thing that's in resonance. I think you're going to love this one. All right, go ahead.
All right, everyone, I'm excited today for, one of the members that I'm about to share with you, okay, in this inspiration panel. And she's one who I have watched really thrive in all areas of life, bring her family in with it, step into purpose, and and really change a lot of lives in our community. Without further ado, I want to bring here Suzanne. Welcome.
Hey there, great to be here.
Awesome. So for anyone who hasn't seen you, if it's first time being exposed, like tell them a little bit about who you are, where you're from, a little bit of the background.
Absolutely. So I'm Suzanne Malott. Who am I? I like to lovingly call myself the woo woo woman in the woods of West Virginia because that is where I am living. But I am a wife, I am a mom, I'm a homeschooling mom, and I'm now a intuitive life coach. So some of my past lives, I was a speech language pathologist and working with those who are very severely involved and typically nonverbal. And so I was using a lot of my intuitive abilities there without knowing. I moved into the photography industry for several years. And actually, I think when I started into the authentic living world, I was way into the network marketing world as well.
Right. So when you first started, would you say it was more of personal growth or finding your purpose or both? Or was there a sequence to things?
You know, I am somebody who can't compartmentalize purpose and what I'm doing for work or personal. It kind of all just goes together for me. And I'm sure that a lot of people who are watching your program, they're the same way. It's their purpose there. It's that undercurrent of, what am I doing? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? And so when I stepped into the programs, it was more that I was searching for my purpose. And what I learned was that my purpose was not outside of myself. But when that came to me, I realized how much was on the surface, how many masks I was wearing, how many blind spots I had. And within learning through the programs, through the EME programs, I learned how to crack myself open and ask myself the right questions to get down deep into who I am, which then made me realize my purpose work.
And you really did the work. I mean, I remember you going through the programs and very few people that I meet, this is their driving force, right? I mean, because it's a hard goal to have, but your goal was almost like, to me, it was mastery. You wanted to master. You wanted to go deep. You didn't want just surface level. You wanted to get to the root. You wanted to heal. You wanted things to move and shake. And you were really hungry for growth.
Oh my gosh. I mean, and truly, I actually made a note to bring this up because it's so funny. I remember coming to one of the events, and it was a mastermind event. And I sat in front of you and Mandy, and I said, why did these traumas have to happen? And you kind of you didn't laugh, you just kind of went, well, because it's part of your purpose work. And I'd never wanted to throat punch someone so hard. But it was so true. It was so true because you and Mandy saw it. I wasn't there yet, but you're right. I craved something that would bring me into the depths. And the community that you've built sat with me in that, because they were also wanting to go below surface level. There's so much noise on the surface. And if you can really go beyond that noise and really get hungry because that's where your answers are.
Yeah, no. I mean, I do remember that event, and I do, the energy of it is just like, I know it's true, but, and I know that because that to me is when truth hits. Your mind can be like, no, but then somewhere inside of you, it lands to where, wow, you have such a reaction, and that's how at times that, you're hitting the right spots, right, when it comes to healing. What's life like right now? Like if you were to compare what your reality is, what your life is, what's it like right now compared to before, so people can see, experience, and feel the difference, what would you say?
I think that when I first came into the programs, it was that mastery. It was craving those answers. And now what I can beyond a doubt say is that I have the steadiness within myself. I have that peace, that calmness that every single person, I think, at some point is craving in their lives. I have more clarity. And when I find myself feeling stuck or feeling like I'm at a crossroads, I have the questions to ask myself and lean into the power that I do have, which the answers are within, because I've removed the masks.
Absolutely, the embodiment piece of it, which is super important, and not a lot of coaches really go for. But I think that's what makes this program different. Embodiment is required to become a great coach, and the program is designed to produce embodiment for those who choose it. Okay, so what about on the business side of things? What are some of the highlights?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that, through the programs it taught me was to figure out what's your fuel, and I know, Oliver, you talk about this too. What is your fuel? And so one of the things that I had been in one of my journals for months and months and months was an Oracle deck. And I just never did anything with it. I thought, well, one day, someday maybe. And that deck came to me because of my children. And I think that legacy work is the legacy that I leave from this lifetime is of utmost importance to me. And I've always joked that I want to be the grandma that is talked about for generations, right? I want to be the grandma that was like, oh, they still talk about her, right? And so learning that the fuel was what I'm going to be leaving behind, not just for my children, but for the world. And when I decided I'm not going to wither away, I'm not going to lose my vitality, everything became a possibility. And so I no longer went after my goals in desperation like the girl in 2018. I no longer, approached things half-heartedly. I really approached them with possibility and curiosity. And so it's enabled me to not sit on things anymore. And so, in the last few months, business-wise, I have written another book, and this one actually is directly related to that question I asked you way back when, and you said it was part of my purpose work. It is about spiritual healing through miscarriage, and I have several more decks coming, a lot of ritual products, because rituals for me are the next step into helping with embodiment. And I have a couple speaking engagements. I'm hosting a retreat in a few months. There's so many opportunities now that once you move from desperation into possibility, the world cracks wide open.
Be able to hear it. Like if you were to describe to them, like, ooh, this is what's possible. This is what it feels like. What would you have to say?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, it's a frequency, right? I mean, it's I don't think I have adequate words to describe it. It's that feeling of like Christmas morning and birthday and vacation all at the same time. It's the anticipation is the excitement, living in that energy of that frequency of possibility, and knowing that you're making a difference just by living your life. Because instead of going and trying to, and you can create your purpose work, absolutely, and stand on a stage or build a community or an organization, absolutely. But when you are living your full authentic self, that's how you serve. And so for me, it became, I'm doing all of this work. So now what? And then I decided I'm going to live like it mattered. I'm going to live like everything that happened matters, but I'm no longer the aftermath. And I'm moving forward knowing, and I've seen it in my children, the battles that I had to win are ones that they'll never have to fight.
Oh, goosebumps! That is so powerful. Oh, wow. And what would you say to people who are watching this who are just like you, right? They've maybe gone through, the dark night of the soul and a lot of traumas, and they're asking themselves why. And then a part of them also, wants to leave a legacy, wants to do something that changes, generations moving forward. And they're part of this challenge. They're wanting to become a life coach. They're wanting to, pursue their purpose, discover what it is, but they're just kind of like on the fence. Like, what would you say to them?
Oh gosh. Well, you know that you are here for a reason. You wouldn't be devoting this time to being here if you didn't help other people. But you first have to help yourself, right? It's putting the mask on first. In the airplane, it's you have to, in order to be a safe place for your future clients, you have to be that safe place for yourself. And so the EME program that Mandy has developed can be a safe place to answer those questions, to really go deep, to feel safe enough to crack open, to be raw, to be vulnerable, and be willing to be coached yourself so that you can be more embodied.
All right. So let's pull one of the cards from your deck. Let's again. I want people to first of all, I want to see what you pull out, right? And experience it. So what's the message for today?
Okay, let me see here. It's gonna be a good one. I know it. Okay. It is the try card. Give it a shot. Test it out before your mind dismisses it as unsafe or illogical. Allow your heart to take the lead on this one. Give it a try and observe how your body responds. That's my best advice.
Well, Suzanne, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here. It's been, to me and Mandy, one of the greatest honors just watching, when we think about the folks, who have started out, who have really chosen growth, and who really, turned their lives around and everyone's lives around them, and really stepping into, amazing stuff in life. You're one of the ones that pop up. So, we're grateful to be part of your journey, and we're super proud of you and super excited for all that's to come.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Mandy. You've changed my life as well.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, cool. I'm so glad that you guys resonated with her. I just love it. Another inspiring story, right? And I've known Suzanne for a while now, and her journey and story, truly, so much, was not said there. It never fails to amaze me. And I want you guys to know, your story is not something that's set in stone. Your past doesn't equal your future unless you consciously choose to stay put where you are. Your future is determined by the actions that you take today and moving forward. And your actions today change your story for tomorrow. Which actually brings me perfectly to my next coaching principle. Coaching principle number 4, old story, new story. Kind of Dr. Seuss in it here. The chicken or the egg. Now we're talking about old story, new story. That's little baby Mandy there. Okay. So are you living, just ask yourself this for a moment. Are you living out of limitation or possibility? Now your mind is like a radio station. We got to switch it to the station of possibility. Are you focused on past failures or future dreams? Fear is like an old broadcast. It's living in the past. Faith is tuning into your future. The bright, positive frequency. And yes, we live in the now. I know people talk about let's just live in the now. There's beauty in that in one way. But we live in the now so that we can build tomorrow better. That's the beauty of hope and of faith. So focusing on positive future visions is literally strengthening neural pathways that are associated with creativity, which we need so we can solve problems better, and motivation. So we'll take the action that we need to take. We'll get ourselves there. So I want y'all to think of your thoughts like a radio station. Switch the dial to the frequency of your highest potential. You have all the other stations you can play to if you want. But let's switch it to the one of the highest potential. See yourself living fully in possibility. See yourself acting boldly on your dreams. Feel the sense of freedom. Feel the sense of confidence. Feel the joy that sits in the future. And with that, let's bring that energy forth. As we round off our day, I'd like to do a meditation. I'll bring y'all back for just a few other quick things. Alrighty? So let's embody some of the things that we talked about today. Go ahead and find a comfortable place. We'll close your eyes. I'll go off screen. We'll play some pretty music. And let's really get there together. Okay? I'm going to take a few deep breaths. Now hear me when I say this. You are more than enough. You are worthy of stepping into your divine purpose right now, today. I know the doubts that whisper inside your mind and the fears that try to tell you things. Who am I to help? They say. Why me? They say, how could I possibly make a difference? Am I good enough? Am I big enough? Am I deserving? But let me tell you something. I see you. I see the ache in your heart, the longing to make a real and a lasting impact. I see your deep desire to serve and to heal. And I want you to know that fire inside you is not an accident. It's a divine spark that was placed there for a reason by something bigger than you. Because somewhere deep in your soul, you know you've been called for more. And let me tell you, the greatest coaches, the ones who go and change the world, are not perfect. They've stumbled. They've questioned themselves. They've doubted their worth. And some days they have wanted to give up. But what makes them different is they refused to let fear win. They stood back up and they chose to show their heart. They chose to serve. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing. Willing to embrace your mess, your vulnerability, your own healing, because that's what makes you real. That's what makes your coaching authentic. And that authenticity is exactly what someone out there desperately needs. You. Just you. And imagine that moment, the day you look in the mirror, and despite everything those doubts have told you, you say, yes, I am enough. Yes, I will serve. And yes, I am here for this. Think about the lives that are waiting for your voice, for your story, for your unique light. Someone's waiting for you. not another coach, not someone perfect, because there's no such thing, but the real, raw, honest version of you. Because sometimes all it takes to change a life is one person willing to listen, one person brave enough to trust that they are enough, one person willing to be seen, heard, and loved exactly as they are. And I promise you, that person is you. And when you step into that space of confidence, even if your knees are a little shaky, even if your voice trembles a little bit, this is where the magic begins. You will love looking back on this version of you. And I want you to feel this as I say it. Your fears are not signs that you're wrong. They are signs that you are on the edge of something incredible. That you are on the brink of becoming the person who changed everything for yourself and can go on to show others to do the same. Now see yourself in your mind's eye, standing confidently in the space of your own life as a powerful coach. Visualize it or feel it as clear as day. Picture waking up every morning, not to an alarm that feels like a chore, but to a sunrise that fills your heart with purpose. You move out of bed and you feel the freedom of your own schedule. No rushing, no stress, just deep, peaceful knowing that today you're going to make a difference. And as you walk into your dedicated coaching space, whether that's a cozy home office or a beautiful outdoor setting, you see your clients waiting on the other side of that screen or sitting across from you, eyes full of hope because they get to be served by you. You speak with calm confidence. Your voice is infused with compassion and truth because you embody the work. And with each word you share, you notice how their face relaxes. Their eyes brighten because you are helping them remember their worth, their power, their dreams. You're transmuting. Feel the deep fulfillment flowing through you, knowing that every single conversation, every breakthrough, every transmission of embodiment is a gift you give to another person. A ripple that expands across lives and families and communities and even generations. And you know you're not only helping one person, but every person that is near them too. Feel the joy of knowing you're not just coaching. You're changing. You're transforming. You're even saving lives. Now imagine this. Your schedule is filled with people you love working with. Clients who cannot wait to meet you because they've heard your story. They've sensed your authenticity. They have felt your passion. And they've come to you because they need real help. They need real growth. And you show up every day ready to serve, knowing you are making a difference that matters beyond measure. You love them. You want to see them win in life because you know their story. And you also know what they're capable of. And in this moment, you feel the impact of your work, how it shapes lives, ignites dreams, and rewires beliefs. Feel that incredible freedom. Time freedom as you decide when, where, and how you work. You could be in a peaceful mountain cabin, a sun-drenched patio, coaching at your own pace, on your own terms, with a heart full of purpose and a schedule that gives you time for the things and people you love most. And you embrace honoring yourself. And you embrace making space for juicy moments of self-care because you need to embody what your clients also deserve. And because you doing so fills you up to better serve them. And imagine the abundance flowing. Not just financial, but the wealth of inner peace and fulfillment. You are living your calling, and the world is better because of it. You wake up each day knowing you are doing what you were put here to do. And it all just feels so right, so aligned. Breathe it in. Feel that truth. You're meant to do this. Your life is meant to be a beacon of hope, healing, and transformation. And now, with every ounce of your being, tell yourself this. I am a powerful, impact-driven coach. I am here to serve, to heal, and to inspire. I am also worthy of abundance and freedom. Every day I wake up with purpose, and I close my eyes each night knowing I've made a difference. Feel that deep certainty. Hold on to that fire in your belly, that knowing in your soul. I'm asking you, please let your heart break wide open for just a moment. Feel the weight of your calling. Feel the depth of that purpose. Feel the energy streaming down your face because you finally see the truth. You are divinely designed to help and to heal and to love and to make a difference. And then make the decision. I will not let fear steal from me anymore. I will step into my power, and I will serve with everything I've got. Because there are souls out there waiting desperately, longing to hear your voice. And the world needs you to be brave enough to show up. Not perfect, but real. Not fearless, but authentically in your power. Feel that truth in your chest. The fierce, unstoppable love for your purpose. Trust it. Honor it. And know that this moment, this very moment, could be the start of everything you are meant to live. Now take a deep breath. Let it expand your heart. And when you open your eyes, you carry that fire with you. Because you're here for a reason. And you are exactly who this world has been waiting for. Because this is your time. This is your calling. You are here to change lives starting today. And it is absolutely time to step into that life. Go be the coach that the world has been waiting for. And in case no one has told you today, I love you. Now slowly come back to the here and now. Great job, everybody. Feel free to share in the chats how you feel. Give you a moment to kind of come back, get in your body. Write something down if you need to. And let me know in the chats your biggest aha from today. And as you guys are blowing the chats up, I am going to invite you. I've been talking about my EME program and quietly plugging it a little bit. So I'm going to share it very shortly with y'all today before we move into our last pieces. If you would love support, if you are enjoying everything that we're going over so far, it's totally just the tip of the iceberg. It is a small fraction of what you would learn if you decided to join me in EME. Yes, you can absolutely do it alone, like I did, basically. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes trial and error. That doesn't scare everybody. But if you want to speed up the learning curve, if you want to have those proven techniques, if you want to use my curriculum, have a supportive and loving community, which no matter what, y'all better build it because you need it. Then I want you to know there is a next level of support and coaching you can get. Because we all need a coach sometimes. The best coaches in the world still need to be coached. And so for those of you who have been nudging me to share more about the certification, those questions swirling in your mind, give me some deets. How much does it cost? What does it take? How long is it? How would I get certified? You're thinking, girl, just tell me. And believe it or not, y'all have already been reaching out to team members. I know. And I'm so honored that a day in, you guys were already like, hey, okay, like tell me what's next. I know she's going to pitch something at some point. What the heck is it, right? I want to share with you how. Because if it resonates with you, of course, that's my duty. And if it doesn't, that's absolutely okay if you don't. You can take the next 5 days of completely free info and you're still going to change your life. And hopefully you'll go on and change others too. So there's no pressure, no judgment. It's okay if you don't resonate with this level of work. We roll up our sleeves and we do the damn thing. And maybe it's not for you, and I so totally honor that. But if you do resonate, if you're feeling that spark, that pull, then I want to show you how you can take that next step, that next level with getting your certification or just exploring a conversation or even getting some personal support with your own unique vision. So my invitation to you is that, yes, this would be for you if you are ready to answer your calling, if you're ready to rock and roll, if you're ready to learn and use curriculum. You're not looking to build it yourself. That usually takes a couple years at least. But instead, you'd like to be able to plug and play something that works, and because you've already resonated with some of what I've shared. You want to skip the learning curve. That doesn't mean you don't have to work on yourself. I do not have a diploma mill. We're not just shooting out certifications. We have to really dive in. But let's skip all of the unnecessary learnings. And you want to be a part of a supportive community. Again, all of us I have been asked to officiate weddings. Everybody ends up at each other's weddings if they're not already married. Everyone's going on vacation together. That is a beautiful thing to do with like-minded people. Community in life is so vital. And I'm going to invite you to book a call. It's usually 60 minutes. It could be less. Sometimes it starts at 10 minutes. But a career planning call with one of my success advisors. Now, I'm going to say this. The last time that we did this, the system broke. Everyone booked so fast that it completely crashed. We had over 600 applications in 60 seconds. So if you're considering it, honor my success advisor's time. do not book it and don't show up. I don't like that. I don't think that's very nice. But if you're like, I will show up and I will explore this, then please book it sooner than later, because we are literally in the middle of hiring more people because we need so many more advisors for how many people are interested in this program, which is such a testament, and I'm honored. And also, the wait times can get long pretty fast. I don't mean to make it sound scarce. It's just this is the reality of what's happened. We still have folks that we're trying to get through to communicate. I ended up having to do a group call on all of this in our last challenge because my success advisors were so booked up. Their calendars were so full. So they've got more space again. This is a career planning call. Now, if you're like, I want to be a nurse or a teacher, this is not a university-wide. This is for my academy, for life coaching specifically, obviously. But you would connect with one of our lovely success advisors. They've helped others guide into their purpose. You'll learn the process, how you can become certified in as little as 4 months. You can start changing lives daily. Get clear about your vision. Get clear about your dream as a life coach. Get the step-by-step path, turning the dreams into reality. Joining my EME Academy it's totally an application process. You'll make sure that we are a fit. We also make sure you are a fit. You cannot just buy the program. You have to talk to an onboarding specialist to make sure that I like success. I want to have high success rates. So you are going to have to talk to somebody. But that career planning call is the first step in seeing if we're a mutual fit. Cool? And you'll be invited and guided throughout the whole process. And if it's not a fit, don't worry. They're not sleazy salespeople. We haven't talked about sales yet, but they're wonderful success advisors. They're advising people on if it's the right path, not convincing you that it is, if that makes sense. Although I always say, if you know someone's rocking it and their fears are there, yeah, like tell them the truth, right? They're also great coaches, by the way. And if it's not a fit, we'll let you know. Maybe we can even point in the right direction. And once you do enroll, we do a really cool welcome celebration where we get together, we celebrate. It's kind of our first orientation. I'll walk you through the process. We get some foundational support so you feel confident and grounded in those next steps. Cool beans? Now, as I said, in our very first challenge months ago, we had close to 10,000 registrants at that time, and our success advisors were only able to talk to less than 20% of them. So 80%, it took a while for them to get to. We have way more registrants here for today's challenge. I am hoping that because we have continued to bring on more folks to our team, that we are able to communicate with everybody and that it's a quick process because class starts very soon. I don't want y'all to miss out. So let's get those calls going as soon as possible. But again, if it's speaking to you, and as long as you're going to show up, you're going to take that call seriously, I want you to sign up for that call sooner than later. You can wait till day 5, absolutely. But if you're resonating with things, then get on the calendar sooner because some of y'all are going to wait for a bit. And you'll see that because you're going to see how booked those calendars are. So it's a first come, first serve situation. Okay? So I highly recommend book a call. Cool beans? So I'll throw up the link in just a second. You guys can screenshot this. You can go ahead and request your clarity call. www.authenticliving.com/coach. That's where you're going to apply for that call. Cool beans? And there's a lot more to learn about income streams and things that we offer. Don't worry, I'll throw it up again at the end. But I want to make sure you guys have the information in front of you. And because there's a couple pathways and we are doing a free event, some people are here for the free stuff. That's great. And some of y'all are going to go deeper, and I would like for you to have personalized attention. Now, as my team was going over the chats from yesterday as well as today, we saw some common questions that were asked, so I'm going to answer them here real quick. Cool? And these are really mindset blocks. What if my family doesn't support me in my dream of becoming a life coach? Does it mean I shouldn't do this? And I think you've kind of seen us trickle this in. Sometimes we don't have the community that we need to support us. It's the family and old friends thing, right? I didn't have that in the beginning. I didn't have someone going, hoorah, that was in my family, right? Instead, they were like, why are you so crazy? Why are you going to do this? This is a bad one. But this is a big one for us, right? The people around us, we care what they think, even if we shouldn't. And sometimes those closest to you have the hardest time seeing your potential. They might be operating from their own fears, their own limited beliefs. That doesn't mean that their voice is truth. What if it's their own fears? And what I will say, with our past sessions as well, these are steps, right? There are steps to this growth. There are steps to building the confidence to go, it's okay that my family isn't, in on this. It's okay if I am still afraid, but there are steps to me learning how to feel confident in myself, how to know that I'm making the right decisions. But for today, I would ask you the same thing I tell my kiddos when they say their friends or certainly family members get to do this or XYZ. Why can't I eat Oreos too or whatever? And I ask them, are these the people that you want to emulate? Do you want their life? Do you want their health? Just because someone has a strong frame in what they say doesn't make them right. They're just convincing. So find the reason why they maybe are this way. Maybe you'll even see what needs healing, but don't take on a belief system from someone who has a life that you don't want. Another one I hear is, should I wait until I'm fully healed before I start coaching? Hello, perfectionism, right? We're waiting for a perfect thing. Waiting for perfect is a recipe for never starting at all. Healing isn't a destination, it's a journey. You don't need to be, nor will you ever be a finished product. And if you are, that's probably the last day of your life because you're on to something else awesome. Instead, you need to be willing to work on yourself. And in the first 9 weeks of my program, that's all you do. You just work on yourself so that you can understand yourself and, of course, start learning embodiment, and you can help everyone you know. Another one, which, y'all, this one doesn't go away very quickly, and it'll rear its head when we get to the business part of this 5 days, as well as when I start teaching y'all business and how to make money in the certification program. I'm still uncomfortable talking about money. Making money is so out of alignment. I hear that one. I get it. That's your programming. What you were taught, your worthiness roots are speaking and rearing their heads. That's not the authentic you. You have unknown rules. You're just living in a box right now. And how you currently allow or disallow yourself to make money, that's just a part of your box. And like most rules, it might be meant to be broken. Alrighty. So your homework today to win potentially the Authentic Creation program, for those of you who missed yesterday, every day we raffle off, or really my team goes into the Facebook group. They read your homework, whatever homework I have assigned you. They read your homework, they read your posts, and they pick 3 people who win a $400 program for free. It's the Authentic Creation program. It's my flagship program. It is also the program I allow my EME practitioners to sell themselves and keep 100% of the profits. And they can license and tag coaching to, and I train them on how to do that. So what a great way to learn a little bit more about all the cool stuff and breakthroughs that you are going to walk other people through by experiencing it yourself. What you're going to do today in order to be in that raffle, if you will, is post in the Facebook group your biggest ahas from today's lesson and the one action step you will take away today to move your life forward. Okay? I want to know what's that big, bold, or seemingly small action that you're going to do. So as a reminder, if we can throw this up so you guys don't forget, there's 3 winners daily. Post your homework in the Facebook group for a chance to win. So you need to be a part of the Facebook group. A lot of people don't make it there. Share your biggest aha moment from today's session and the action step that you're going to take moving forward. All right, we can pull that down. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to build a business and a lifestyle you love. So we'll start diving into some business concepts. Everybody come in with an open mind and open heart. I expect some of you to be triggered because you think about how you're going to have to show up and having a business, and it might bring up some old things from the past, whatever it is. All of it is welcome to the party because tomorrow is going to be a really fun day, and it's one of my favorite, it's my literal favorite day. Day 5 is my second favorite. Day 3 continues to be my favorite day because we get to talk about the brain and why we make shitty decisions, basically, is what we're going to talk about. Why we do the things we do and why it doesn't work. So thank you all so much for showing up today. I'm so excited for tomorrow. We're going to talk about something called the triune brain, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun because you're going to learn why some things haven't worked out in your world before and why and how we can start making it work now. Plus, of course, we're diving into business and lifestyle. My VIPs, make sure that you hang tight. Don't go anywhere. Stay here. We're going to dive into another Q&A with me today. We'll have some special stuff planned for tomorrow as well. Everyone else, goodbye. I will see you tomorrow. I'll make sure the team pops back up the Clarity Call link again for those of you who are asking for it in the chats. Request your call as long as you're going to make it. And I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. Bring your notes. Bring your, I don't know, blah, 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 all the things. And in case no one has told you today, I love you.